Speaking of fast growth, the number of mobile payment services has been exploding over the last year. Our senior West Coast correspondent Jon Erlichman has more on one online payment system out of Iowa called Dwolla that's hoping to kill the credit card altogether. Jon, can it be?
It can be, and I'm here with Ben Milne, who runs this payment network. Good of you to join us. A lot of times we're talking to people from Silicon Valley. You're in Des Moines.
I am. I'm from Iowa.
And you're building up this company from there. What made you decide to start Dwolla?
I had another company before that we just had a lot of credit card fees. We paid about $55,000 a year in credit card fees, and to be honest, I just got a little bit obsessed with not paying them.
And the name Dwolla is the combination of dollar and web, basically? It's just simple as that?
Yeah, that's that simple.
And if you want to just start a payment network and go up against the credit card companies or the banks or whomever you end up going up with in this battle, how easy is that to do? How hard is that to do? I mean,
so it's not easy. It's incredibly difficult. The market's about a $32 trillion annual market. It's gigantic.
Yeah.
It's not easy to get into. So I spent about 2 years trying to figure out kind of how to get into the market, and thankfully we've done that successfully.
And why do you think you've been successful so far?
Honestly, I just think we didn't give up. We've been very fortunate. We have some really great investors. We just raised another round of capital from some great investors in New York as well. So we've been very lucky that we've got really supportive investors.
There are obviously plenty of people who see an opportunity to do what was done by the financial services industry in the past. We've spoken to PayPal recently here. Obviously, Square is another company that's in this payment area. What is it that differentiates Dwolla?
Yeah, it's a great question. So all of the people that you just mentioned, really, they bring in a bunch of networks to allow a consumer to buy something from a merchant. But when you do that, you bring in all the costs and all the problems of the network. So everything that network comes with and all of its problems, which is why really they all have the same fee structure. So in order to take that fee structure out and essentially make payments as free as they should be, you have to start over from scratch and just start almost at the bank layer.
But as you add, say, merchants to this network, have you run into any challenges? Like, what's the biggest challenge with getting big versus the big players who maybe are not as able to be as nimble as you in the early days?
So education and bandwidth. We're a small team. We only have about 20 people. So we're scaling up pretty quickly right now. And having people understand actually what Dwolla is and what Dwolla does and how it can benefit them. We see ourselves as a partner to banks, but also to Square and also to a Visa. So getting everyone on board and understanding what exactly we do is actually pretty difficult.
But you do see a day when we won't have any plastic, right?
So plastic's a behavior, right? It could be a cough. That's how you could pay for things if you really wanted to. It's just a way to say I'm here, give me what I want. So I think cell phones are what's next, probably like most people.
So explain that. So you can use your phone virtually to do everything payment-based, you'd say?
Eventually, I don't see why not, and probably a lot more. There's a lot of things around the transaction as it relates to security and identity verification that a cell phone can do that a card could never do.
Now, you mentioned you've raised money. What is the end goal for a fast-growing business like yours? Like, what do you want to do?
We want to grow into ubiquity. We want to be the thing that powers a $1 trillion market.
And how do you then get to that next level? I mean, I'm sure people have said, oh, well, if you're growing quickly, you must want to go public and get more capital. I mean, what do you think about going public?
So we're not really focused on that right now. We're focused on growing in the consumer market and growing in the financial services market. I think that probably is, a journey to 1 million accounts, and if we're capable of doing that, we can go much further.
Tell us about the kinds of conversations that you've had with companies like PayPal. For example, they're probably impressed with your growth. Have you ever talked to them about their business? Have you ever learned anything from the folks at PayPal in building your business?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, a lot of the people that were really early on in PayPal actually gave me a lot of really great advice around fraud and things like that. And the companies, as I said today, when they started talking to us, I think they were trying to decide if we were full of it or not. And now that we've kind of passed through that, the future will tell how those relationships pan out. But, there's definitely a conversation there.
So when you see potentially a day with no plastic, how far out in your world do you think that would be?
So my world as it sits today, I believe you should be able to move $1 million just because you have an internet connection. And that's real in my world. And until it's real in the rest of the world, I'm not really sure. Maybe 5 years, maybe 10.
And the security complaint that a lot of people will raise with using your phone for moving $1 million?
I think your phone is more secure than a plastic card could ever and will ever be. And again, it's just a market education issue.
It's an interesting perspective, and we appreciate you sharing it with us. Ben Milne of Dwolla joining us here. Emily, back to you.